So the next panel session is still going to be handled by Mr. Makinde. So please don't go far. It's charting your study abroad journey, insight from successful alumni. And what that means is we're going to hear these gentlemen tell us their experiences, what they experience in their schools, and how much of this that they will tell us on the panel today. So, charting your study abroad journey, insights from a successful alumni will be our next panel discussants focus here.
Let me begin. They say ladies first. So, Dr. Abioye, I'm going to begin with you. Share your story about charting your study abroad journey. You know, things have shifted. Talking about studying abroad, believe me, those who can, who have the experience. Once you hear abroad, Andrew comes to mind. How many people can relate with Andrew? You see, those who can relate, they're already smiling. So share your story about this particular idea of studying abroad. Share your study abroad journey.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm very honored to be here. Thank you so much for having me. So there is a saying that I really love, and it's about education in general. And it goes like this: the purpose of education is to replace an empty mind with an open one. Was my own story because it was very applicable to me when I traveled to study my master's in computer science in the University of Manchester, as well as my PhD in business and management. So I knew right in the middle of my degree program that I'll be going for my master's program. But then at that point, I really didn't understand I knew the relevance, but I didn't know how significantly the impact of studying abroad would have on me. So to be honest, I just knew that, okay, I'm going abroad to study. And I knew that I was already enjoying the concepts of business. So I knew that I wanted to study abroad and merge what I was studying at that point, which is computer science at Babcock University, with some sort of a business program. So I ended up doing advanced computing and IT management. For me, settling in was pretty much fair. I don't think it was awkward for me to settle in socially. You were talking about culture shock in the last panel. I don't think I really had a major culture shock socially. But then for me, I think the shocker was when I actually started my classes and I was slammed with my very first coursework. And I was told to develop a business idea from nowhere. So it could actually be a product or a service, but I went for a product. So I was told to develop a business idea in form of a product, and it must not be an existing product. And even if it was an existing product, it has to be an advancement of the existing product. I had not been in a proper work environment prior to that time. So, doing that for me was like, hold on, I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm used to theoretical approaches. I'm used to learning theorems. I'm used to just, studying, cramming, and passing my exams.
Just answering the questions.
Yes, basically.
Nothing to apply.
Exactly. So having to do all of this was very shocking to me. So I had to literally leverage on I would say my seniors, because those that have already gone through the system to help me to navigate this new terrain. And luckily, I was able to, pass that particular course. But then for me, it was more like, okay, so I can actually be involved in the design of things, and things do not have to remain as theories in my head. So the idea of idealization to conceptualization to commercializing things was now fascinating to me. And I think that was like my major first, I would say paradigm shift, personally.
Essentially, you just find out that academic education is actually applicable to life.
Yes, it doesn't have to remain in books. I can actually be involved in bringing these things
Okay.
to life.
All right.
Basically.
Honorable Ashamu, I don't know if you want to, take the lead off yourself. I saw that when we started, you were laughing. You remember Andrew too?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
I remember being told the stories about Andrew, so it brought back some fun memories. Maybe my experience may be a little bit different,
Okay.
and it may be the inverse of a lot of what we've heard today.
Okay.
I actually had right from nursery through to postgraduate outside of Nigeria, and then came back to Nigeria and went to law school here.
So let's just assume that your own culture shock was in Nigeria.
It was, but there's actually something quite telling there. When I got here, I found that instead of encouraging thinking and innovation and thinking outside of the box and
Okay. Could you just swap one of the mics there?
challenging what was actually in the books,
Yeah.
what I found was that it was, you just have to repeat what the lecturer has said before.
said.
And I think really that dovetails to what the previous speaker has said in terms of when you get abroad, don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to challenge what you're being taught. And don't be afraid to provide solutions. And you don't have to have the answers. What they're actually more interested in is your capacity to think and your capacity to challenge the norm. You'll find that a lot of this, we've heard a lot about scholarships today, and you'll find that a lot of the scholarships that are available are actually in the STEM fields: science, tech, engineering, and mathematics. These are fields where you must be able to challenge the norm. And I think that's, if there's one take home, that's definitely something that I would encourage those thinking of applying to study abroad to take very seriously and to give a lot of thought.
Well, please give him a round of applause, because sometimes that fact is lost. Dr. Thomas, a lot of young people, there's something that I saw in the research produced for us that resonates with me very strongly. A lot of youths have the mindset of just leaving the country without having a clear path of what they want to do. How true is that?
Good afternoon, everybody. It is very true, because a lot of young people leave the country without a plan. So what happens is that they catch the bug and they just want to get out. The second best decision I made was to leave the country and go abroad. My journey started from this very university, and the information on what I needed to go do was provided by my department in physics, and I just had to explore. But the best decision I made was to come back. And I say to people that if you are then going abroad, what is it that you're going to do? Have you sought and taken counsel? It's a deliberate decision. You have to seek it and you have to take it. The two are not necessarily the same. Are you prepared to go, and are you prepared to come back? What I find with a lot of young people is that it's just this japa, I want to go abroad, without necessarily thinking through the path that they're going to take, some of the issues that have been raised, the cultural issues. You have to be ready to learn and adapt. I heard earlier on that you should work smart and not hard. But I've seen a lot of smart people who are lazy, who didn't quite make it. So I beg to differ. I say you have to work very hard and you have to work very smart. I left this university at a time before the internet came around. And it was a time when we used to write assignments. We hand wrote everything, including your projects, and you had to give it to somebody to help you type. And one of the shocks I got in the UK was that people actually didn't handwrite assignments. It's as simple as that. So you can imagine the shock on my face. It was like horror. When I was handing in my own assignments, everybody had typed, and I had handwritten mine. But learning very quickly and adapting very quickly, and knowing from the onset that my purpose over there was to learn, was to seek experience, was to gain knowledge, was to open your mind, as you said, and then come back here. That was the key thing. The thing I say to people, just to round up this particular point, is that Nigerians are the worst ambassadors of Nigeria. Therefore, everybody is negative. You talk to the young, the old, the grandmothers, the grandfathers, an unborn child feels the negativity in the mother's womb. Yes, things are bad. However, that creates a lot of opportunity for us. And if you have the mindset, because what's limiting us most of the time is our mindset, it's our negative vibes, it's our insecurities, our fears, and our lack of belief in ourselves. If you don't believe in yourself, then you lose the right for anybody to even believe in you in the first place.
Absolutely.
So I feel that a lot of young people, you're very right, the observation is that they just want to go. I don't begrudge that. There is value in going. That's why we're here. But in all your planning, I encourage people to plan to come back. If you don't plan to come back, there is a very high chance that you're going to get into the wave, get caught in the wave over there. And I assure you, if you do it right, you'll be back here doing things better than those who didn't come back. It is possible.
Absolutely. Please give him a round of applause. I like the sound of that. Dr. Adepoju, let me ask you, I don't know if you want to add one or two things to what has been said already, but the challenge in my head is that I'm not sure that students, aspiring students, as Honorable said, even get the memo. We don't seem to be communicating with them in the language of today. How challenging is that, if you agree?
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. And as a writer to what he said, I'd like to talk about a major distinction that I think haven't really been dealt with here. From my experience, I think depending on what you want to do, in the sense that depending on whether you're an undergrad or you're a postgraduate student, you might find some differences. In the sense that everybody has an expectation as to what they want to do when they go overseas. But statistics has it that for undergrad courses, you would find out that after the very first 2 years, where you are doing general courses, you find out that most people change their courses. So that's something to expect. Most people will change whatever they had planned to do when they get there. And it's part of the cultural shock as well. And of course, having to put you in the right place where they think you need to be or where you think you need to be.
What do you think is, my apologies, what do you think is responsible for that change?
I think, one, it has to do with what you thought and what you're thinking. It has to do with the classes that you did very well in. And sometimes, we have wishful thinking, and it's about right sizing as well. So you find out that you have specific interest in something, but along the way you might find out, oh, this is even more exciting to me. So I think that's important as well. Then I want to talk a little bit more about those challenges you talked about. I think there are different stages. When you get your admission, in this gathering today, I think they've done a great job as explaining how to get it, how to go for it. But I think we also need to talk about the expectations as well and the challenges.
We'll get to those expectations.
Yes.
But it's even starting the journey.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
That's really the issue, because as Dr. Thomas said the other time, some people just want to go. When I arrive, we can deal with the problem
Over
later.
there, yes. So you see, starting the journey has to do with a lot of excitement. You're excited, you're happy, you're telling everybody you're going. Then when you get there, it's very possible that you start to get frustrated. Frustrated in the sense that the way you used to do things is not the way they do things, and you're trying to balance those differences. So that sets in. And that's the time when you start feeling homesick. That's the time when you start calling your parents and saying, go easy, and your parents tells you, well, be easy for no easy for one, dada. So you get that response, then you get to the part where you now start to adjust. The adjustment comes because at that point, this is what you have to do. Then after adjustment comes the acceptance stage where you accept it, you are now a part of that society, you excel academically, you find out that what you thought was difficult was really not difficult. Now, I think the worst part of it is now when you're a different person, different in the sense that you have imbibed all these new things into you, you've imbibed this culture, then you come back here and you now have the reverse cultural shock, where like Mr. Obey talked about, you come here, you are hard on time, like 8 o'clock is 8 o'clock, and you come here and you hear what they say African time. And you're thinking, why should I not fire this person? This is not the kind of training I've had. But you find out that that's the Nigerian way of thinking. So that also frustrates you. So you get frustrated, first of all, when you get there. Then when you get back, you need to expect that some level of frustration as well. But at the end of the day, it's the best decision you could ever make is to gather every iota of knowledge you can get from over there, come here, plow that back into what we do here, and I think you'll be better off for it.
I'll stick with you for a moment, Dr. Adepoju. Between your time and now, what are the things that you think have changed that students, that perhaps some things you enjoyed or experienced, they may not enjoy or experience them, that they need to pay attention to?
I think the very first thing I'll talk about is the immigration laws. The immigration laws have changed from what it used to be to what it is now. I know prior to 9/11, it was so different. What we have right now is because countries they're more security conscious. They want to know where these students are coming from. Sometimes they limit how many students can come from a particular country. Sometimes they ban certain students from certain countries. So that's very different. It's not what we used to do. So I think the most important thing is people need to read. People need to learn and understand what the laws are, especially the immigration laws, before they even embark on that journey, to make sure that what they're doing is really what the host country expects them to do.
Thank you so much. Please give him a round of applause. Is there anyone in the house who has a question? Please note your question. If you have a question, just come forward here. I will take them. As many of you as have questions, we'll take them. But let me ask you, madam. Okay, you want to pick his brain. I'm the one picking the brains, but go ahead. I'll give you a second.
No, because I actually enjoyed what he said, but then I believe that some people might actually benefit from his response to the question I'm about to ask.
Good.
Because you talked about having a plan when traveling. I know some people might have an end goal, but might not necessarily know how to connect the dots. Even if you plan to return home, it might not actually be as smooth, as easy for everyone as it might be for you. For me, I was very confused in the middle. It took one experience for me to actually know what I wanted to do with myself after my postgrad degree. So how did you actually connect the dots from figuring out that, okay, I'm traveling abroad for my studies, and now knowing that this is what I'm actually going to end up doing when I return back home?
Thanks. I think it comes from the vision. So what's the purpose, right? I'm not sitting here telling everybody that it's going to be easy or that you have everything necessarily figured out from day one. No. What I'm saying is that with the mindset that says, I have a purpose to go there and learn, and I have a purpose to come back here and add and plow everything back, that purpose that you've set is what then guides you every step of the way. So you're going to make mistakes, you're going to stumble along the way, But as you move along, what's guiding you is your quest and your zeal to come back into Nigeria and add that value back in here. And I think that's really what I would say to that question.
Fantastic. Honorable, to that same question, what role does parenting have to play? Yes, I know I put you on the spot. I do that for a living.
I think, for me personally, parenting has been extremely important to me. From when you're much younger than we are now, to giving you the right morals and the right characteristics, and giving you the drive and the vision that makes you want to make a difference in your immediate society, and makes you want to contribute your quota to making people's lives better than they are at the moment. And I really think it goes to what the immediate past speaker mentioned. What is your purpose? Is your objective to go abroad, study, take part in all the extracurricular activities that the institution that you're at has on offer? Careers fairs, additional work. If you studied law like I did, taking part in the law clinic where you actually provide services for free to members of the local community. Doing all of that, garnering that experience and that profile, and then being able to come back to Nigeria and contribute your quota. And I think really that's what it is. You started this by speaking about Andrew. And for those who don't know about Andrew, at least the stories I heard, at the end of every episode, Andrew had his suitcase and he was at Muritala Mohammed Airport looking to leave Nigeria. Well, we want Andrews at Heathrow, at JFK, and all these other airports around the world looking to come back to Nigeria. And I think that's really what we need to be driving at.
Absolutely. Let's give him a big round of applause for me. Dr. Abioye, I want to ask you this, and then, sorry, is there any question? Please come out. If you have a question, just come to this side. Dr. Abioye, let me ask you, and I'd like prospective students to please pay attention. What advice would you give to students planning to study abroad? I'm asking you because others may be, their own experiences may be older than me, you know.
I would say is to allow the experience to do its work. And by saying that, I mean, be as open-minded as possible. We're used to a certain way of doing things over here, and it's absolutely not the case when you travel abroad. Do not rely on your own personal knowledge. Be ready to unlearn what you've already learned, and even the ones that you believe still applies in your everyday life, still be ready to relearn, because there are new approaches to things every day. There are new advancements in ideas or ideologies every day. So allow yourself to be as open-minded as possible. Coming from what is said, you do not necessarily have to have it all figured out, but have a plan in place. And you don't have to have a plan A to a plan Z, but then have a plan in place, a solid plan in place. And most times, for me, I had a plan in place, but then I fine-tuned it as time went on. So it wasn't a perfect plan, but just to make sure that you have something to work with, and then as time goes on, you actually understand, as you discover your new self, what you actually want to do with yourself.
Absolutely. Please give her a round of applause. Well, something that you have not spoken to is some people want to work and make money. Somebody will have to talk about that one later, because cannot be spending all that money and make it back. Please come to this side.
Okay, my question is, my name is Abdulkarim Aishat. So, can you discuss the impact of personal projects or voluntary initiatives on my overall application?
Be coming down.
Sorry.
Now,
Okay.
I know you wrote it down. That's an academic question. Can you ask a practical question? Ask that question practically in a way that we can understand simple English. I didn't go to school too much.
Okay. can you discuss the impact of personal projects or voluntary initiatives on my overall application to top universities?
When you say personal project, what are you talking about?
Like probably I have some voluntary projects I'm organizing
You're
to.
already volunteering.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So what's the impact of personal projects or voluntary initiatives to my overall
Okay.
applications to, yeah,
Who are you directing your question to?
the panelists?
Which of them?
Okay, Miss.
Dr. Ade.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Please note the question, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Thank you. My name is Oyebamiji Yusuf. Are there any misconception about the admission process that we'd like to
Misconceptions about the admission
about
process.
yes, dispel for the
Okay.
prospective?
Sorry, sir. Hold the microphone like this, the way I'm holding it. No,
Yes,
no, no,
sir.
no, no. You are holding it like a pasuma. Like that.
Are there any misconception about the admission process that we like to disperse for prospective students?
Misconceptions about the admission process.
Yes.
You want them cleared.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Two.
Okay, two. Who are you directing the first one to? You don't know. Okay. Dr. Thomas, you may want to take that one.
Sir.
Misconceptions in the admission process.
Sir, in what way do exchange programming with international contribute and improve the quality education and experience guided by students?
Even me, I don't understand that question. So start afresh.
Okay. In
Calm down.
what
Calm
way-
down. Calm down. You have the mic.
All right, sir.
Look at the camera.
In what way do exchange programming with international contribution and improve the quantity of education and experience guided by students?
Quantity or quality?
That quality.
Quality of education. Okay.
Yes.
Can I have those questions? Thank you very much. Please put your hands together for him. Dr. Adepoju, I'm bringing that second question to you. Oh, you have a question too. Please come forward. Okay.
Good day, the panels. My name is Additional
Okay.
Idris.
Hold the microphone like this.
Good day. My name is Additional Idris. I would have liked to direct my question to Ms. Aderonke, Mrs. But she's not on it.
Okay, go ahead.
The thing is, for the students, there are no opportunity to have a loan or perhaps scholarships
Okay.
to travel abroad to further. So she made mention of foreign students coming down to learn about our language and culture.
Yeah.
I would have liked to ask the benefits of having them here, like for the exchange programs, like the way we can relate and have some mutual benefits instead of going down there to learn.
Okay.
So having them here and what kind of benefits can we get?
So exchange students coming to Nigeria
Yeah,
as opposed to Nigerians going there. Okay. I don't know who will want to take up that one. But let's begin with you, Dr. Abioye. Oh, I said everybody should come out. After you, nobody else. Thank you. Please come. Don't make noise in our ears.
Good day, the panelists. Thank you very much for the education
20
which
seconds
you have
more.
actually imparted us. And I want to, my question is, one of the speakers the last time told us about soft skills that are really required for prospective students. I want to know if there are specific soft skills or tech skills that we can learn that will help us, especially if we want to study and also work at the same time. Thank you.
Do you know what soft skills are?
Yes, sir.
What are soft skills?
There are skills that, like emotional intelligence that you can learn,
Okay.
that will help one actually, maybe in order to be relevant.
Okay, so what's the question?
Okay, probably because there are many of them.
Yeah.
So probably there are ones that they can tell us maybe to prioritize,
Okay.
and also especially tech skills, technological skills.
Okay.
I want to know those ones that we can maybe improve on, or the ones that we need to know.
Beautiful.
The
What's your name?
technological- My name is Adeni Adekunle.
So you want soft skills and software skills. Management is proud of you. Please give him a round of applause. Okay, so let's begin with you, Dr. Adebayo. Please go ahead.
I think a question is directly linked to the previous panel session, where they talked about your personal statement. For me, I had to do a different personal statement when I was applying for my my PhD program. It was way different from the very first one I did when I was applying for my master's program. Then I could highlight, because I'd already taken part in some voluntary activities and some even executive roles within the campus. So I could highlight my other personality traits. I could highlight my other skills. They already knew that I had the academic qualification for me to want to apply for a PhD program. But then I had the opportunity to showcase myself in other ways that maybe my grades could not show. So for sure, if you have projects that you've been involved in or voluntary activities that you took part in that could boost your admission process or your application, by all means, please go for it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Please, a round of applause, please. It's not easy to share this kind of knowledge. By the way, Honorable Ashamu, you'll be taking the question on soft skills. Dr. Thomas, please.
Right. The question here is about misconceptions around the admissions process.
Yeah.
I'm just going to sum it up into one that I have seen too often, which is that you can wing it. In other words, you can just coast through the admissions process.
Let's say it in local language. Wuru to the answer.
Wuru to the answer, exactly.
Thank you.
There are no shortcuts because we've heard from the other panelists. They are thorough. They review things. They have expectations.
But that's not to say, my apologies, that's not to say that we are also not thorough. Because it cannot be that easy to get into UI, for instance. But I said it's not to say that even at home we're not thorough. Because it cannot be that easy to get into UI, for instance.
That is true, but you could be thorough in the wrong things. Okay. So are you being thorough according to the requirements? And the 5 P's come into mind. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. It's all about the preparation. And if you prepare properly, everything that we are talking about here is all encompassing. If you prepare properly and you plan properly, you understand the requirements, then you will know that there is no way you can have shortcuts and go around the bend. In all you're getting, get understanding. The Bible says so, Proverbs 4:7. So you have to understand what you are going for. Then you would recognize that there are no shortcuts. And if you prepare properly, then the chances of success are high, even though not necessarily guaranteed.
Thank you. He just gave you lyrics to a song. Go and Google 4P. You might make a song out of that. Dr. Adepoju.
Thank you very much. The world, they say, is a global village. So when you look at that in its real sense, it means we're all interconnected. And I think the experiences that you gain in whatever it is you do is always very meaningful to the product that you bring out. So talking about the exchange program, just like Professor Mrs. Bayreju had talked about earlier, what we're trying to do is to make sure you are well rounded up, because the goal of academics is for you to have the requisite knowledge to be able to excel in whatever it is you want to do. And sometimes, just like we going overseas to get knowledge and to learn more about be it other cultures and how they do things, they also come over here to learn about our own culture as well. Because at the same time, our culture, we are part of the world, and our culture is also meaningful to them as well. So one thing I want to say again is this. Sometimes when you gain admission or gain scholarship or whatever it is you need to do to gain admission, it may not be solely because of your academic credentials. There are people that gain admission based on sports. There are people that gain admission based on the voluntary work they had done, the community work they had done. So there's so many things beyond academics that you can use in gaining admission and would help you be a well-grounded and rounded person. And that's where the exchange program comes in. It just helps to aid, our knowledge and increase our knowledge of diversity in whatever it is that we do. So it's very important. The exchange program is very important.
I hope that is well understood, and I'd like you to expatiate on it for 30 seconds. In other words, there is value in volunteering.
Yes.
Now, the language of volunteering is service without getting paid. Let's be clear. But some people, volunteering is a tough one for so many people. Can you speak to that just in 30 seconds and why it needs to be done for future endeavors?
Sure. Education is not all about what you learn in class. Education is, I would say, it's a way of life. It builds you up to be that person that the world desires. So people have different skill sets. People have different things that they do and they have worked in that the world needs. And you'll find out that people, when you apply and you talk about things that are not even relevant to academics, they may admit you based on that. So, for example, for you to say you volunteered for the fire service, just an example, you would find out that I'm not saying just put that there. I'm saying if you truly did, you find out that based on that specific mention of you volunteering for the fire service, the person going through your application can say, you know what, this is very interesting. We may need this person to work with this or work with that in this college or this university, and it's very important. So, it's all about making sure that you are just a well-grounded and rounded person, and that's where, like I said, the exchange program comes in because it's all about diversity and making the world a global village.
Thank you so much. May I also underscore that volunteering doesn't mean just going to volunteer in your church and singing in the choir. Well, Honorable Ashamu.
Okay, thank you. Soft skills.
Yeah.
I think that the soft skills, I just want to say something as somebody who spent pretty much all of my educational life outside of Nigeria. So I have a pretty good idea of what the universities, particularly in England, are looking for from their students. And there's been a lot of mention with regards to your personal statement. And I can tell you for free that your personal statement is probably the most important document that you're going to have in your application. There will be students who have met the educational criteria in terms of grade, but the personal statement lets the university know who you are as a person and what really interests you. And your university is most likely looking to figure out what kind of problem can you solve, what kind of person are you. And I think this is where your soft skills will actually play an active role. Your soft skills will include how well you can communicate, your leadership skills, how you've worked in a team. And all of these things will run through your personal statement. So your soft skills are very, very critical because they are actually the things that will stand your application out from all of the other thousands of applications that universities will receive.
You spitted a word, communication skills. Communication has changed in this generation. Absolutely, totally, completely, and entirely. But that's a conference for another day. I also thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for being a part of this conversation today. Honorable Seun Ashamu, thank you so much for your time. Dr. Olukorede Abioye, thank you for your time. Dr. Kade Thomas and Dr. Adebayo Adepoju, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. Please give them a big round of applause. I understand we are supposed to take pictures. Okay, let's rise. And I see that our host is also approaching the podium.
Yes, the host has to be with you as you take the photographs. Distinguished delegates, thank you so much. I'd like you to do something for me. I want you to give yourself a big round of applause for being a wonderful